There be souls walk in this world wearing so many faces that eventually they forget which one HaShem gave them. Some masks be worn for vanity, others for survival. A sailor can survive behind a mask for a season, but bury a soul beneath false faces, and eventually the soul suffocates. Some smile while sinking. Some perform while breaking. Some carry burdens so long that they no longer remember what honesty feels like. And today, we speak of a Torah portion that does not merely count people, but lifts their heads. But before we begin tonight's Voyage crew, let us first remember the voice above every storm, the truth above every mask, and the oneness of the Holy One of Israel. Please join me in the prayer of our people, the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malhuto, Leolam Vayed. Now, come below deck with me, crew. For there be treasures buried in the wilderness, for every weary soul still trying to remember the face HaShem gave them. Come with me on another episode of Treasures in the Torah.
From names once hidden, roots we reclaim. From scattered sparks, we learn our name. Through longest night, the calm remains the same. Echoed truth, no time restrained. Treasures in the Torah, long proclaimed. Ancient truth becomes eternal flame. By the Torah's light, we chart our way through darkest night to break of day. Across the seas where exiles roam, the written word becomes our home. What once was hidden now is shown, guiding us where truth has grown. From generations, voice in flame, we rise to walk the path again. Avast me hearties, welcome to Treasures in the Torah. Welcome aboard.
The wilderness be filled with souls carrying burdens unseen by the crowd. And Parashat Naso reminds us that heaven still sees them. There be treasures buried deeper than gold, crew. Not all treasure glitters inside a chest beneath the sea. Some treasures be hidden beneath burdens, beneath silence, beneath scars, and beneath faces worn so long that the soul beneath them begins to disappear. Parashat Naso opens with a counting of Israel. But the Torah does not speak like kings counting soldiers or merchants counting cargo. No. The Torah says, lift up their heads. Because the Holy One of Israel does not merely count souls. He restores dignity to them. And many in this world have forgotten what it means to lift their heads. Some walk through life bent beneath expectation. Others wear masks so heavy that they no longer remember the face HaShem gave them. Strong for someone else, smiling for everybody else, performing for everybody else, while quietly drowning below deck. But today's voyage reminds us of something the world often forgets. Hidden burdens still matter before HaShem. The unseen soul still matters before heaven. And even after years beneath false faces, the Holy One, blessed be He, calls to the buried soul, lift up thy head. So let us open the charts of the wilderness crew and search for the deeper treasure hidden within Parashat Naso. Parashat Naso begins with a census, and to modern ears that may not sound very emotional. Numbers, counting, organization, but the Torah reveals something deeper hidden within the counting. Because ancient kings often counted people for one of three reasons: taxation, forced labor, or war. Empires counted men the way merchants counted cargo: useful, replaceable, disposable. But the Torah speaks differently. Lift up the heads of the children of Israel. Not merely count them. Lift them. The language itself carries dignity. The Holy One of Israel does not count souls like barrels in the hold of a ship. He lifts them. And many souls today desperately need to hear that. There be souls walking through life carrying invisible cargo. Men carrying families upon their backs. Women carrying everybody's emotional storms while quietly drowning themselves. Workers exhausted from labor nobody appreciates. Artists hiding their gifts because the world mocked them for daring to create. Religious souls smiling outwardly while inwardly collapsing. And after enough years, people begin confusing their burden with their identity. That be one of the great dangers in life. A burden may become so constant that eventually a soul forgets there was ever more to them than survival. And nowhere in the Parashat Naso do we see this more clearly than the burdens carried by the Levites. The Levites carried the Mishkan through the wilderness, heavy labor, sacred labor. Some carried boards, others curtains, others holy vessels. And much of their work happened away from celebration or applause. No crowds cheering, no glory, just responsibility. But hidden work is not worthless work. The world often praises visible labor while ignoring the burdens quietly carried below deck. Yet, heaven sees differently. A father quietly sacrificing for his family matters before HaShem. A mother carrying exhaustion no one notices matters before HaShem. The soul battling despair while still getting out of bed matters before HaShem. The artist still creating beauty in a bitter and dark world matters before HaShem. The person carrying unseen pain while still showing kindness matters before HaShem. Because the Holy One of Israel sees burdens hidden from the crowd. And perhaps that be why the Torah says, lift up their heads. Because the burden is not imaginary, but because heaven sees the soul beneath it. And sometimes the heaviest burdens aboard a ship be carried by the souls that no one notices. Now gather close, crew, and let me tell you a tale from the sea about a sailor who slowly disappeared without ever leaving the ship. The one sailed a merchant vessel through dangerous waters between kingdoms, above deck. Music, laughter, silver goblets, and wealthy passengers pretending that the storms did not exist. But below deck, many souls were drowning long before the sea ever touched them. Among the crew sailed a young sailor named Elias. Where he first boarded the vessel, he laughed loudly, dreamed boldly, spoke honestly from the heart. He sang while coiling rope, whistled while scrubbing the deck, and still believed that the sea held wonder. But voyages change men. Storms change men. People change men. And little by little, the masks begin. The older sailors mocked honesty. Whenever Elias spoke openly about fear, pain, or loneliness, the crew laughed. You think too much, lad. Grow harder. Say less. So Elias learned his first mask. Silence. And the crew praised him for maturing. Then came betrayal. Friends he trusted turned cold. Men he once laughed beside began treating him like another tool aboard the ship. And when exhaustion finally crushed him, when the burden became too heavy, and Elias tried speaking honestly of the storm inside him, the sailors laughed again. "Strong men do not complain," they say. So Elias learned another mask. I am fine, even while sinking. Years passed. Passengers loved him because he became entertaining, always smiling, always joking, always lifting everyone else's spirits. But every laugh became another plank sealing shut the soul beneath. And eventually, Elias no longer knew whether people loved him or merely loved the mask. One terrible night, a violent storm struck the ship. Waves crashed across the deck. Lanterns swung wildly overhead. Cargo snapped loose across the boards. Men shouted, passengers screamed, the sea roared like judgment. And amid the chaos, the captain noticed something strange. Every sailor fought the storm, except Elias. He stood frozen, empty, like a ghost wearing a human face. And so the captain crossed the flooding deck, grabbed him by the shoulders, and shouted, "Look at me, lad. When did you last show your true face?" But Elias could not answer, because after years behind masks, no longer he remembered the face that truly belonged to him. And when dawn finally rose over the sea, the captain handed him a polished piece of brass and said, "The sea already took enough from you. Do not surrender the face HaShem himself gave you." And for the first time in years, the sailor wept. Not because of the storm, but because somebody finally saw the soul beneath the mask. History, too, remembers souls forced to survive behind many faces. And among the most fascinating of them was a Sephardic Jew who sailed between empires themselves. His name was Samuel Pallache, the man between two kingdoms. There'd be masks worn from vanity, and others worn for survival. Samuel Pallache was born in the world of Sephardic exile, not long after the great expulsions from Spain. His people knew what it meant to live beneath suspicion. They knew exile, forced conversion, hidden identity, careful speech, and the burden of surviving among kingdoms that could turn hostile overnight. And Samuel Pallache would send much of his life directly through those dangerous waters. Pallache became many things throughout his life: merchant, diplomat, translator, negotiator, traveler between kingdoms, and to some, a pirate. He sailed between the Muslim world and the Christian Europe during a brutal age of empire and suspicion. One harbor welcomed him, and another threatened imprisonment. One ruler praised him, another called him a criminal. Imagine carrying so many roles that eventually the world no longer knows who you are truly beneath them. Merchant in one port, diplomat in another, suspect somewhere else. And yet, every title and beneath every title still stood a Jewish soul carrying covenant through hostile seas. Many Sephardic Jews of exile survived by learning how to navigate dangerous worlds carefully. Some concealed their identity. Some changed names. Some spoke cautiously. Some lived double lives for survival. Not because they wished to abandon who they were, but because history sometimes forced souls into masks simply to remain alive. And this be important to understand. Not every mask begins in pride. Some begin in pain. Some begin in fear. Some begin in survival. Samuel Pallache learned to navigate kingdoms the way that sailors navigate reefs. Carefully, quietly, always aware that one wrong move could destroy the voyage. Yet, despite the shifting politics, the accusations, the suspicion, he remained connected to his Jewish identity during one of the most dangerous eras for Sephardic Jews upon the seas. The world saw titles, rumors, alliances, and masks. But HaShem sees deeper than the masks men wear upon the sea. And perhaps that be one of the hidden treasures of Parashat Naso. The Holy One, blessed be He, the Holy One of Israel, does not merely count His people. He sees the soul beneath the burden. But this be the truth, crew. Most masks are not worn by sailors, diplomats, or men of history. Many souls watching today wear them still. Some masks become so rewarded by the world that people begin mistaking them for identity. And that be one of the great tragedies of the human soul, because eventually a person may become so consumed by survival that they forget who they were before the masks began. The strong one, the soul never allowed to be tired. The man expected to carry every burden without weakness. The person everybody leans upon, while nobody asks whether they themselves are collapsing beneath the weight. The world praises this mask, even while the soul beneath it suffocates. the entertainer, always smiling, always joking, always carrying everybody else's spirits, the soul who becomes laughter for the crowd while privately drowning below deck. And eventually, people stop asking how the entertainer truly feels, but everybody assumes if they still smile, they must still be fine. And perhaps one of the most dangerous masks of all, the religious one. Outward holiness, outward performance, outward appearance, while inwardly exhausted, wounded, isolated, and spiritually starving. Not because the soul hates HaShem, but because the soul became trapped, performing for people instead of standing honestly before the Holy One. And eventually, religion itself can become another mask worn for survival. Then comes the mask many know best. The fine one. No problems. No pain. I'm okay. Even while the soul quietly sinks beneath the surface. And after enough years, some people no longer know how to answer honestly when someone asks, "How are you?" Because the mask answers before the soul can speak. And notice that this mask is cracked, indicating that the wearer really is not fine. And finally, the expected one, the version everybody demands, the role, the performance, the identity built entirely upon obligation. A father becomes only provision. A husband becomes only responsibility. A worker becomes only productivity. A caretaker becomes only emotional labor. And eventually, the soul beneath the role begins disappearing entirely. There be souls who have worn survival so long that they no longer know where the mask ends and where they begin. The dangerous masks are not always the ones mocked by the world, but the ones rewarded by it. The endlessly strong man, the endlessly giving woman, the endlessly smiling entertainer, the endlessly performing religious soul. And eventually, a person may become so confused by function, more consumed by their duty, that they quietly disappear beneath the role itself. A sailor can survive behind a mask for a season, but bury a soul beneath false faces, and eventually the soul, what HaShem has lifted up, has given you, that the soul forgets what HaShem has lifted up in the first place. But the Torah does not say, hide their faces. It does not say, bury their souls. It does not say, disappear beneath expectation. It says, lift up their heads. Because the Holy One of Israel does not desire a ship full of masks. He desires truth. And there be weary souls watching tonight, watching today, who have carried expectation so long that they no longer remember what honesty feels like. Souls who learn to survive by becoming whatever everybody else needed them to be. But even after years beneath false faces, the Holy One, blessed be He, still calls to the burdened and calls to the buried soul beneath it all. Lift up thy head. And perhaps there be no greater blessing than to be truly seen by HaShem. Parashat Naso contains one of the most beloved blessings in all of the Torah. Not merely words of protection, but words of divine attention. A blessing reminding weary souls that the Holy One of Israel still sees them. A benediction saying that you have not been forgotten. Yivarecha Adonai Varishamrecha Yair Adonai Panav Alecha Vihunecha Yesu Adonai Panav Alecha V'yasim Lecha Shalom. May HaShem bless you and keep you. May the Lord lift his face to shine upon you, be gracious unto you. May HaShem lift up his countenance upon you and grant you peace. Grant you shalom. And perhaps that be one of the deepest treasures hidden within this voyage. The world may count usefulness, but HaShem still lifts souls. The world may reward masks, but HaShem still sees the face beneath them. And there be weary souls watching today who needed reminding that heaven still sees them too. Heaven still sees you. Lift up your head and be counted. You are important. You matter to HaShem. Until next voyage, crew, do not surrender the face that HaShem gave you, even in storms, even beneath burdens, even after years of survival. Lift up thy head. May the wind in your sails be filled with HaShem's righteousness, and may the evil urge plunge straight into Davy Jones' locker. Shalom. Shabbat shalom. I look forward to seeing you on next week's voyage.